edition of Sweetberry Farm. I'm your host, Din, the man, Sheen. Sheen or Sheehan? How do you want to say it? I've always said Sheehan, but I heard that some people pick Sheen, and that sounds way cooler. But I'm not, but then, like, I don't know. Sheen? They just leave the, they leave the H, the A, and the N off. But I'm from Minnesota, and we carry our vowels. So it's like, Sheehan. I don't know. But it doesn't sound as cool as Sheen.
Dad!
Yeah, what? Sheehan. You don't want it? Oh, okay. All right. You might be asking yourself why you look so fancy. That's just because I like to mix it up from time to time. I like to mix it up. So today we are going to take the old minivan and get the transmission fluid changed out. It's probably way past due. Some super cool.
Dad,
yeah.
I'm gonna get a camper right now.
No, we're not gonna get a camper. Vehicles that can tow a camper. We've been looking at campers also for like taking a family trip and all that stuff. But they're so spendy. The amount of money it takes is almost astronomical if you want to get in a new camper that can sleep 8 people. A vehicle that can haul 7 or 8 people or 9 people, depending. We've looked at the Toyota Sequoias, but to get a brand new Toyota Sequoia that can seat 8 people and has less room in the rear end than a Kia Rio, they want $71,500 after all the tax, titles, and fees to walk away with this brand new Toyota Sequoia. Sure, I'd feel like the boss. I'd feel large and in charge. I'd feel awesome. But I would drain my bank account severely.
Dad,
And I'm
Dad.
not sure it's the wisest choice.
Daddy!
Yeah, what can I do for you?
I see a butterfly right there.
You see a butterfly? That's so cool. I love butterflies. So I don't know. I'm really nervous because,
Dad,
yeah,
I see a butterfly flying.
you see a butterfly. Awesome.
No, it's with this way.
Oh, in the cloud. Okay. So she sees a butterfly. I'm talking about something else.
No, I don't see a butterfly.
Okay.
It's gone.
So let's just say new vehicles are extremely expensive, and I thought they were expensive 5 years ago when you could get a brand new Toyota Sequoia for like $45,000, $50,000. I thought that was a lot. Now they want $70,000. I'm not sure why prices of or who has that kind of money. I mean, I know anybody can sign up for a loan and then get the car repossessed, but I don't work that way. I don't like living life on the edge like that just to look like I have all the latest and greatest. So I'm probably just gonna end up taking an awesome trip in my minivan, it has way more cargo space than this $71,000 Toyota Sequoia that we test drove, and we put a $500 deposit to hold it. But I'm nervous. The money is just a lot. Sure, it's got heated steering wheel. It can do rock crawling, whatever that is. It's got 4-wheel drive, the whole 9 yards. It has a towing package. In fact, the Toyota Sequoia has one of the higher tow ratings than a Ford Expedition, GMC Yukon, GMC blah blah blah, Jeep Compass. Like Toyota Sequoia seems like it can haul the family, and it can haul a camper. And then we've been looking at these campers that can sleep 6, but we'd make 7 work. But to get a new one, it's $25,000 to get a small camper that weighs like 5,000 pounds. It's like 35,000 to get like a bigger one that's still light enough to be towed by a family hauler. I mean, but all in, by the time you spend $71,500 on your Toyota Sequoia and you spend $25,000 to $35,000 on a camper, you're in at $100,000. What could you have done with the $100,000 if inflation didn't exist? Okay, 4 years ago, that $100,000 would have been like maybe 60 or 70,000. 4 years later, after everybody gets their stimulus check for coronavirus, everything has increased by 40 or 50% easy. Are the prices ever going to drop? Or are they? Who can afford it? Family. You basically have to come into an inheritance or be the best YouTuber out there. Neither of those have happened to me yet. Will I be the best YouTuber ever? Time will tell. Judging by the 2 people watching, which I respect you guys. You know I respect you. But let's face it, there's not 2,000 people watching this live stream. So we know I'm not making money off YouTube. I don't know. So probably not going to buy a new vehicle and a new camper to take our awesome trip. But we will have a tent. And we will have a minivan, which is still good. Better than nothing. Some people don't even have a decent minivan or a tent. So we're probably not going to fall for the temptation of spending over $100,000 to have the world's most awesome camping experience. Good thing I have a brain on my shoulders. A lot of people just like, let's charge it. We'll just pay the monthly fee. And then they file for bankruptcy and they lose everything eventually because they've spread themselves too thin. I don't know why I use that as the spreading itself thin hand emoji. Thin. There we go. This is thick. This is thin. Alright? You don't want to spread yourself too thin financially. And I like the idea of having some savings in case something goes wrong. In case something major breaks down on the house or the termites like collapse a floor on my second floor of my house. Probably going to happen. I have a septic system. If that goes to Poopyville, it's going to be $50,000 to get a new septic system. So if I spread myself too thin by buying fancy vehicles and campers, you know. But then at the same time, it's like if you always live in fear, maybe you'll never have fun, right? That's the other argument. Like, oh, if you're like being like Scrooge McDuck and you're pinching your pennies, you know, I could die tomorrow with all the money in the bank, never having the family fun that I could have had if I had a Sequoia or a camper. There's that argument to be had. And it's true that nobody knows when their final moments are going to be. Makes you think, maybe I should just go out and spend some money today. But what I am doing to compromise, I'm going to get the transmission fluid changed in this van. So hopefully there's that. I'm maintaining what I have. And then it's like a 2% compromise. Instead of spending $100,000 to get a really awesome, spacious, rock crawling capable Toyota Sequoia with a sunroof. Oh my gosh, I'm making myself sad that I'm not just buying this right now because it's so awesome. Heated seats. I don't know if the seats are cooling. I know it has Apple. I know it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which if you watch any car review shorts on YouTube, you know Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are like number one. You gotta have Apple. You gotta have it. It's just, it's even in the Lamborghinis, I think. I'm not even sure, but so anyway, they have these little racks that you can put into like a trailer hitch, and I did spend like $200, maybe $300 to install a trailer hitch onto my van. But they have these little racks that you can store like coolers on and maybe tents or whatever. And I thought that would be a good compromise for like, you know, for like $300 or $400, install the trailer hitch, get one of those racks that sits on the outside of your car. Then on that, we can put our tent, maybe our cooler, and that way when we get to our tenting sites, it's always a hassle to like pull the tent out of the bottom of the minivan because we're stuffing in our luggage, our clothes, like our food, everything in the minivan. And so now, once I install this little rack on the back, like when we pull up to our campsite, the tent's on there, all I gotta do is like bloop bloop and get all that initial gear out. And I think that'll make things a lot easier. Instead of always playing Tetris, trying to pack everything perfectly back in the minivan. So like, I think it's wise. I'm saying I think we can still have a without having all the fancy stuff. And backup plan, worst case scenario, the van breaks down in the middle of nowhere. We could always buy a vehicle. We could always buy a Toyota Sequoia and then just trade this beater in that broke down. Worst case scenario, you know. We could always save the day. If everything falls, we'll be like, you know what? Screw it. Who needs a business? Who needs to invest? Who needs to pay for our children's college education? Let's just buy the $70,000 Toyota Sequoia and we'll trade this in. Like we'll just be like when the tow company comes to pick us up from alongside the road, unless we're mangled in a nasty wreck and we don't survive it. When the tow truck comes to pick us up off the side of the interstate, we'll be like, yeah, take us to the nearest Toyota dealer. And then once there, we'll get, you know, we'll do it. What do you guys think? Is that a plan? Like we'll give it a go in the minivan, and then if we get to like California, if we get all the way to California and then it just transmission blows up or something, we'll just like take us to the dealer.
Yeah, but what if we die?
And then we'll just sign the papers. I don't know how taxes work when you're out of state though, like several states away from where you actually live. I don't know if you have to pay taxes there and taxes in your own state, but I know like sometimes when you're just across the border on a state that touches your state, like I think they can just sign you up to pay the taxes in your state. But I don't know if it's like, if we're in like Oregon, you know, how does that work? I don't know, but anyway, so we're gonna get the transmission fluid done by a professional dealership, $160 something. That's a lot of money, but if I were to change the transmission fluid myself, it would literally cost $150 to buy the fluid from like O'Reilly Auto Parts. So you know what? It's a wash, and now I don't have to like get dirty, and I'm only spending $20 more to have the dealer do it. of course they're gonna come back and they're gonna say, well, your engine light's on, your bumper's falling off, and you need a timing belt. $2,500, please. I'll be like, I'll come back later. After I take on a fourth or fifth job, I'll have you do my timing belt. But anyway, I digress. My wife's a trooper. Her heart's set on this Toyota Sequoia. And like, my heart's set on it too. I think it's super classy. I love like the adventure lifestyle. It seems like a car. If you can take it to like Moab, Utah and like rock crawl with your family vehicle, I think that's super awesome. But that's kind of like when I've reached my YouTube pinnacle, when I've reached the upper echelons of like YouTube, I feel like I would buy this vehicle. But to buy it before I've seen success in life, like I'm very successful. I have a family. I'm very blessed. I have a farm. They would not give you a job as an 11-year-old. I feel like if I were to walk into a bank, I would look so nervous and make the interviewer so uncomfortable. So tell me about your experience in finance and in money. Like, that's the only way you're going to get $100,000 or more. If I was like an insurance adjuster or whatever, like I might be able to make 100,000 plus. I don't think I have like, I could do it. But to sell yourself at an interview, I'm too honest. They're gonna ask me a question and I'm just gonna like, the only way I would get $100,000 a year job is if the other person looked into my eyes and saw my soul and knew I was a good person and they were a good person and they were like, you know what, I want to help this guy out. You know what, he's adopted like 3 at-risk kids. He's got a beautiful family. He works so hard. He's so passionate about life. Let me give him this awesome job that is going to pay him $200,000 a year. Then I would buy a Toyota Sequoia for $71,000. What? Anyway, I'm not saying it'll never happen. I'm just saying I tend to be more cautious. But at the same time, I entertain these ideas and it drives my family crazy. Because if I'm like, yeah, it's great, but I'd like to see the vehicle like a third or fourth time, then I'd buy it. I'm just so nervous. Because what if you get that buyer's remorse? Buyer's remorse is like horrible. You don't want to feel that pain. Have you ever felt that when you bought a toy and it broke right away? Or you bought a toy and then you see a different toy and you're like, oh man, if I would have just saved my $10, I could have had enough to buy this other thing. That's kind of what this is like, except it's a really expensive toy. And it's like, I know on some planet somebody's buying a used Toyota Sequoia and they're getting lucky and it's getting them down the road like 150,000 more miles.
Why are you gonna use them?
I know, but it takes time to find those deals, and it's almost like you gotta get lucky. These things almost have to fall into your lap. Patience, I think, is important. Patience is important. It is key. A lot of people aren't patient and they live to learn the hard way.
You buy a brand new one, but then you see a good used one, you can just sell the brand new one.
Yeah, but here's the thing. As soon as you drive the car off the dealership lot, it loses like $10,000 instantly. Like, you could turn around.
Like when we test drive
Yeah,
it?
yep. I could take that car, I could drive it home, I could drive it back the next day and say, I'd like to trade this in. I'd like to sell it. I guarantee, if I spent $71,000, they wouldn't give me more than $60,000.
It wasn't?
No way. No, not a chance. I mean, unless you're like,
I think they would.
I think they like to make money, and the only way they do that deal is if they could make maybe 5,000, maybe 10,000. Like, I don't think they'd do the deal without me taking a huge loss. Even if I only put 100 miles on it, the day after I buy it, it just loses value. There's still a lot of value there, but not $71,000 worth of value. The value is that it's so rare. This blue color is so rare. There's not another one within like 500 miles. And so they get you. They get you hooked. And then you get pegged into a corner. They lure you in because it's like, ooh, it's a better deal than some other deals. And blue is a rare color. And you buy it.
And they also said Toyota's the best brand.
Toyota is, I mean, they make a good argument. They make a good case that Toyota is the best.
Yeah, the lady also said that GMC has bad engines.
Yeah, they probably do.
Yeah, they probably do.
Gosh, I mean, you know what I mean? I can't argue that. And I do want it. Am I talking myself into it right now? Like, Mom probably already called and said we're not going to do it. I could literally just drive there and write a check. But is it wise? Is it wise? Is it? Yeah, but then I'm banking on my future. I'm banking on the fact that I think that I can make that money back. But I'm not so sure.
Isn't
like,
that the blue color?
Yeah, that is the blue color.
Yeah, I see a lot of Toyotas with that color.
Like, it's a very attractive color. It looks very nice. But the thing is, it's like, we get more cargo space in this minivan. Like, if I were going to the home improvement store and I have my van and I have this Toyota Sequoia, I'm bringing the van because I can take the seats out and I can get a 4x8 sheet of plywood in here. With the Sequoia, I could fold the seats down, but it'd be awkward because they don't fold down flat into the floor. And I don't think you can pull the seats out of there. And I'm not even sure I could get a 4x8 sheet in the Sequoia without, I mean, I just, really, like, I have the ultimate vehicle right now. I just need to take care of it, and that's why I'm going to get transmission fluid. It's $150 to get transmission fluid, but when you just think about, you know, what if I just took care of what I have and maintained what I have? You know, $150 to get your transmission fluid doesn't seem that high compared to spending $71,000. You know, so. And you know what? I'm going to bust my butt. I'm going to try to start a business. I'm going to try to do something so I can afford a Toyota Sequoia without blinking. You know? Because it's a great looking vehicle. I would love to rock crawl on family vacation with 7 people or 8 people sitting in the car. Be like, hey, let's go off-roading right now in this family vehicle. That'd be so awesome. Can you imagine the YouTube videos that I could make? All right, I gotta find where the cars go here. Is it that door or is it on the other side? We got about 7 minutes to spare to get it into that appointment. All right, guys, this has been just another amazing YouTube live stream where I'm just kind of talking way too much. Service center. Is that where I want to go?
Probably.
Do I just, is that guy going to back up?
Probably.
Service.
Yeah, he's backing up.
Is he?
Wait.
I'm not sure. Service Center. All right, guys, we're gonna end the live stream. We'll see you on the next.